As the smoke dissipated from the smashing success of the Olympic resistance in Vancouver, the view of who's who on what side of the fight became increasingly clear. You break a few windows and liberals masquerading as radicals start showing their ass.
I think the debate on respect for diversity of tactics is sort of long overdue, but in a way it's also happened many times before in many movements in the past. So before coming here to...
That funny looking chin strapper right there is Derrick O'Keefe. Yep, his voice was cracking because that shot was taken minutes before he got his mind whooped by this woman right here.
I have to admit, in terms of this debate, I know it's been going on for a week, but I've only just read all the Facebook messages and all the emails that are floating around this morning as I was trying to prepare my thoughts. So I'm really frustrated and really angry, to be quite honest.
That was Harsha Walia of the Olympic Resistance Network. Thing is that after the motherfucking resistance successfully disrupted the first day of the 5 cock rings of death, Mr. O'Keefe started running his mouth about things he knows nothing about. This is why I take great personal pleasure in giving you some highlights of a debate on the topic of
the notion of respect for diversity of tactics. And I just want to admit right up front that it's not necessarily the sort of, I think that term and that those ideas come out of a movement or a particular part of the left movement in Canada that is not really the tradition that I became politicized around. I'm not presenting that we have to abandon the notion of respect for diversity of tactics. I think that it's just that it has risks becoming a shibboleth.
Shibboleth?
Shibboleth.
Shibboleth. Wait a motherfucking minute. Shia, shiatsu, shibboleth.
Shibboleth.
There it is. Shibboleth.
Shibboleth.
Used as a test of nationality by its difficult pronunciation.
Well, if I were to guess, I would say O'Keefe is a citizen of the douche drizzle kingdom. But enough shit talking.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
On his first point, O'Keefe tries to defend his public denunciation of black bloc tactics used in Vancouver on Feb 13.
It's not necessarily in theory, but in practice, it can repress open and wide-ranging discussion, both before an action is taken and afterwards in assessing its effectiveness.
If people have criticisms about the 13th, then let's talk about specific criticisms. But all that we have seen is a general denunciation of property destruction. And as far as I'm concerned, every tactic is immune to criticism. That includes if we're going to have mass rallies where politicians are given a free stage to speak, despite their daily obscenities and the daily violence that politicians in this government are responsible for. We can talk about the fact that, symbolic rallies once a year are equally ineffective. So if we're going to talk about ineffectiveness, we need to be able to have the same starting point for every single tactic.
These so-called anything can happen type events or actions preclude or in fact endanger participation or participants from marginalized communities, including the most vulnerable communities that I think naturally our work should be trying to draw in and create safe spaces for their participation.
As a woman of color with a myriad of precarious systemic barriers, including legal status and health, and I can only speak for myself, but I can say that the black bloc tactic does not in itself oppress me or render me more vulnerable in protest. So I'd appreciate it if other white men do not make such pronouncements on my behalf or decide what will keep me safe. And perhaps instead they can focus on their own organizational and personal patterns of dominance and privilege.
Oh, snack.
I think any tactic that is used where you have a whole group of people marching in anonymity and a form of presenting yourself to the public that is anonymous risks police infiltration in a serious way and therefore should be seriously questioned.
The fact that people are anonymous is not simply unique to the black bloc. As we know, people don masks around the world, probably the most romanticized of which is the Zapatistas. And if we are going to be able to have solidarity with global struggles, we have to understand that the reasons for wearing a mask are the same, whether it's in Chiapas in Palestine or it's the black bloc on our streets. State surveillance and state policing particularly in the context of the Olympics where people have had visits by the Vancouver Integrated Security Unit, means that people need to protect themselves. To me, the Black Bloc is not anonymous. It's a tactic, and the members of the Black Bloc are people that are known to me. If people want to come down to Tent Village, you'll probably meet many of them.
After the debate was over, Harsha headed back to said Tent City, an encampment that sprung up on a parking lot rented by Vanok, the organizers of the 5 cock rings of death. This temporary autonomous zone of homeless people and activists took place right smack in the middle of Canada's poorest neighborhood. I caught up with Harsha to ask her what the fuck was that all about. Hey Harsha, how the fuck are you?
Good, how are you?
Me? Fucking tired.
Me too, I'm fucking tired.
I think I'm gonna take a little power nap, okay? Well, maybe not. Okay, so why a tent city?
Tent City was a occupation of 58 West Hastings, which is a lot owned by Concord Pacific, which is Canada's largest and most notorious real estate developer. Over the past 3 years, since 2008, they've been looking to develop a condo site with 130 condo units right in the middle of the downtown east side, which is Canada's poorest neighborhood, poorest postal code in all of Canada. In the kind of lead up to the Olympics, but obviously predating that, we've seen an increasing amount of gentrification, homelessness, and criminalization of the poor. And Concord Pacific in the past, just prior to the Olympics, leased that land to Vanok for a parking lot. So there was a decision to have a tent city, to have a squat, to occupy an empty lot, basically. It sat empty for the past 2 years in order to make visible both the crisis of homelessness in the context of the Olympics and also to take direct action against gentrification in the downtown east side.
Is the tent city illegal?
It's outside the law, but it's moral.
So why do something illegal rather than asking nicely?
Well, I think the short of it in the context of the downtown east side is it's a community that has had to defend itself against gentrification and criminalization, and those are all processes that have been supported by the law, and so the resistance needs to be outside of the law.
What are some tangible victories of the tent city?
In the context of the Olympics, where we have, the mayor and the provincial government opening up emergency shelters to kind of make invisible the growing number of homeless in Vancouver, the tent city made very visible. It's a stark and constant reminder of the fucking $7 billion that went to the Olympics in the context of growing poverty and gentrification and homelessness. It really kind of challenged the state in the context of the Olympics and the party about what acceptable protest is. And I think it really forced the state to contemplate whether it would shut down a homeless tent city just for a fucking Vanok parking lot, right? And really kind of forced an eruption around issues of legality and illegality. Issues around, the fact that a tent city, which is illegal, was actually a sanctuary in the downtown east side. Hundreds of people came to it because it was a cop-free zone, and it really forces a contestation of the idea of what provides safety in this neighborhood.
Thanks, Harsha. And that about does it for this edition of It's the End of the World, as we know it and I feel fine. The following wage slaves transformed some of their hard work into radical media. Will, Mark, Benjamin, Manuel, Arthur, Audrey, John, Micah, Eliza, Jim, Peter, Evelyn, Margaret, Dan, Noah, and Christopher. Gabonese. To comment on this show or for links on the Olympic Tent Village, just visit my fucking website, stimulator.tv. Now go pitch a tent.
Remember, kids, you can podcast high-quality video of this show at submedia.tv.